Is it just me, or did XO Kitty took over your entire life with its second season as well? I mean, since I watched it, there is not a single day passed that I do not think about this show. And now, it is official that the third season is on its way. So, let's talk about it. But first, we need to go through the second season briefly, so that all those talks about season 3 would make some sense. The season starts with Kitty trying to figure out her tangled feelings for Yuri and Minho. Let's not forget that Minho made that huge confession at the end of season 1, leaving Kitty in a whirlwind of confusion. In the mix of all this, Kitty decides to take a piece of advice from her older sister, Lara Jean, and write a letter to sort through her feelings. I can relate to Kitty's attempt to be honest with herself by putting her feelings down on paper, hoping it would bring some clarity. But, of course, it doesn't go as planned. Her letter ends up exposed to their whole friend group, spilling out her emotions, and throwing Yuri and Juliana's relationship into disarray. That kiss between Kitty and Yuri in season 1, while passionate, is shown to be something far more complicated than just a spark of romance. According to showrunner Jessica O'Toole, whose work we are familiar from The Summer I Turned Pretty, she really wanted to respect the characters and the reality of the situation. She said the following: "I didn't want it to be parts of a love triangle. I really felt like they were real." O'Toole wanted to make sure that Kitty and Yuri's dynamic wasn't just used to fuel a traditional love triangle for the sake of plot, because these characters are so much more than that. When Kitty kissed Yuri, she wasn't naive about the consequences, knowing full well that it would bring more drama, not only for her, but also for Yuri and Juliana. The complicated mess of betrayal, feelings, and timing is hard to ignore, and it makes me think back to those moments in my own life when everything felt out of sync. In my humble opinion, O'Toole's approach feels very true to the messy nature of relationships, especially when they begin with such a heavy weight of secrets and unspoken words. But let me know what you think of her approach to the situation. But what really pulls at my heartstrings is the depth of the relationships and the emotional maturity that Kitty begins to discover within herself. The show doesn't just focus on her romantic entanglements. There's also an ongoing exploration of her growth as a person, which is often lacking in similar other teenage romances. In this show, there's a real sense of maturity between Kitty and Minho this season that feels earned and believable. Minho, once dismissive and indifferent to Kitty in season 1, has become this complex character who seems to really understand her now. It's hard not to root for them when you see the chemistry building between them, but it's not rushed, which I appreciate. O'Toole says, "Obviously, Minho's the character that everyone's excited about. They have had this very interesting journey together, which is very enemies to lovers. And I get it. There's something so captivating about their dynamic. That classic K-drama trope is irresistible, and I find myself hoping that Minho and Kitty get a chance to explore more than just their friendship. Do you also ship the two? Let me know in the comments. I personally loved seeing how the relationship between Kitty and Minho evolved, especially when they started to respect each other's boundaries." O'Toole also touched on this, as she said, "You see him accept her at face value that she's not in the same place, and you see him handle that in a really mature way where they can be friends. That maturity adds such a real layer to their connection. It's not just about rushing into a romance. It's about respecting where each person is emotionally. I think that's something I could really take to heart in my own relationships. I don't know about you guys, but to me, it's refreshing to see a show that isn't afraid to show that love doesn't always have to be about rushing into things, especially at Kitty's age." The show also dives deeper into all the themes regarding a family, which I absolutely adored. Throughout the series, Minho plays a pivotal role in helping Kitty reconnect with her estranged relatives, especially her grandmother and her grandmother's sister. It's a storyline that truly tugged at my heart, particularly when Kitty helps reunite her family members after decades of misunderstandings. The scenes that follow are emotional in such an authentic way. Watching Kitty and her family reconnect and seeing the healing take place really hit home. O'Toole shared how emotional the cast was during these moments by saying, "We were all crying, and they were really crying. It was like a real moment for all of us on set watching this. I couldn't help but tear up too, seeing the impact of this moment on the characters. As for Season 3, I'm personally really excited about where this could go. O'Toole has mentioned the possibility of expanding the story outside of Seoul, which makes me think there's a lot more to explore in Korea's rich culture and diverse landscapes. She said, "There's a whole bunch more to Korea than just Seoul," which makes me wonder if we'll see the characters venture beyond their familiar environment and face new challenges. Plus, with the show's growing ensemble of characters, there's potential for so much more depth as Kitty and her friends continue to mature. The beauty of coming-of-age stories, especially one as rich as EXO Kitty, is that they evolve alongside the characters. As O'Toole puts it, the show gets to grow up along with the characters. I'm all for seeing how the show matures and what kind of new adventures await. The new season of the show is expected to be out early 2026. For more updates on EXO Kitty, make sure to like and follow. Meanwhile, the video of the screen might also interest you.